So we are ready to get started on our icon project. We want to make that draft, get it done. Now, as you can see on my screen, I am on the icon set draft instructions. And these instructions are almost identical to the final icon set instructions because ultimately what you will turn in for your draft should be a completed version of your icons, a completed set. So here are the instructions. They're kind of long. When you are ready to begin the project, you'll want to start right here on number 1. Download this project report template. So you'll open it up and download. I wonder if it will let me download it. I'm going to download it as a PDF. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to open it in Illustrator because this is where I do everything. Open, download. So there's a reason why this is the number 1 instruction. Here we go. Here we are. This is the project report. It will be turned in along with your icons. So your finished set of icons that you love and want to share with the world, they all should begin here. It's easy to look at something like this and be like, oh, this is just the paperwork. So I make the icons first and then I fill out the paperwork later. That is not the case. It will help you immensely if you begin by going through the steps of the project report. They are put in the order that the proper design process follows. So first of all, it says audience. You need to have an audience. Now, in my last video, I talked about, like, for instance, if I were making a set of icons of human organs, then my audience would be super important. You know, if I had kids, my icons would look a lot different than if my audience was adults attending a Halloween party. So specifying what your message is and who your audience is will go a long way. So let's just begin with that. I'm going to pick an audience, and I think I'm going to do like craft loving moms like me. So this is going to be like kind of hipsterish. And you know, when you initially start, it's fine to go through and just kind of list words. But when you turn it in, I'd like you to flesh it out and have complete sentences. This is a communications class. There are rules surrounding communication, and that's one of the rules that I expect. Okay, so just initially, I'm just going to have random words that give me kind of a direction to go for. And my message is going to be spooky, fun, adult, interesting, a little bit gross, maybe. All right. Okay, and so next it's telling me sketches. And you might be looking at this and thinking, sketches? Why do I need sketches? This is a very important step. This may be news to you, but any long-term graphic designer knows the first idea that comes to your head is not going to be your best idea. The more sketches you do, the better your end result will be 100% of the time. So I highly recommend that you invest into your sketches. You are required to put in your project report at least 9 sketches, 3 variations of at least 4 icons. And as I suggested in my last video, I think it will be really beneficial to you if you start off planning 6 icons. Maybe they'll all work out, maybe they won't, and you'll be able to ditch 2 that aren't your best when you get to the end. That's up to you. But you should have 3 sketches at least for each of these icons. If this were an intro to graphic design class, you'd be doing more like 25 to 50 sketches for each of these icons. So think of this as like a really low bar. You know, three sketches of each is just, it's not even. If you want to just open a sketchbook and do a whole page of sketches for one, and then flip the page and do a whole page of sketches for another, this can be kind of something you do while you watch a movie or anything. It doesn't require your whole brain. It just kind of is like doodling, like la-di-da. You're not super thinking about it, just kind of throwing ideas out. And then when you're done, you can look back and kind of sort through, is there anything of value here? Another way to go about sketches is that you can pull up the internet and say, I want to do sketches of an eyeball. I'm just going to go in here. That is kind of creepy. So then I could just open my sketchbook, and I can draw kind of like the fleshy backside of an eyeball. Anyway, just gives me some idea of what this is supposed to look like in real life. Okay? Or you can do like heart. Now here we've got some illustrations. You're going to want to be careful about this. It is pretty easy to accidentally rip off somebody else's thing, and you're running out of time, and this is perfect, so I'm just going to take it and copy it pretty much exactly. That's not a good way to go about things. This is another reason why physically sketching by hand in a sketchbook is helpful, because then you can look at these things, look at these ideas, and draw them out without having to worry that you're going to end up exactly replicating. I mean, I cannot by hand exactly replicate this just by looking at it. I'm not that good at drawing. Some people might be able to, but that would take a lot of time. It's honestly going to be easier to just kind of get the basic idea. I sort of like the style of this. I like how they've got like lines making shadows, creating sort of the dimension of the thing. So I could do that in my sketchbook, just draw out the basic shape of a heart and then some little lines. Do not do your sketches in Illustrator. They should not be sketched on the computer. You need to use your hands and a piece of paper and sketch this way. And then take a picture of it with your phone, or take a picture, scan it, whatever is easiest for you. And stick the picture inside your project report. So there we go. That's how you do the audience, the message, and the sketches. This, you don't have to put anything in that section. Typography, there will not be any typography because there's no letters or numbers inside of these icons and no pre-made symbols. And color scheme. You're going to want to pick a color scheme that makes sense for your audience and your message. So I'm going to go with, I'm definitely going to need kind of a blood red. Here, I'm going to just pop open Cooler. See what I can find. One thing I like to do is just type in random stuff, and it gives me kind of this. I kind of like this. It looks kind of Grey's Anatomy-ish to me. Anyway, I can just keep searching through here until I find a grouping of several colors that I think will work really nicely for the icons I have in mind. And feel free to, play with that, change it up if what you try doesn't work. But ultimately, whatever color scheme you decide on, you're going to want to stick a screenshot of it in here. If you change yours up, that's fine. Just, my daughter is trying to pound the door down. Sister, I'm trying to work. Just, make squares. I actually do this in a lot of my projects for clients. Like I often will have a color scheme. And I'll just you have a neutral. Oh, here's another thing. There's kind of a standard palette of color swatches that often will show up here. Mine's not even showing up, which is funny. New computer. Don't use just the default library that populates in here. I've been using this program for 10 years. The default library, that's not it. The default library is familiar enough to me that I will be able to tell if the only colors you use are from this default palette. Most of the time, they make me a little sick because I've just seen them so much. Even if you use just one, there are only a handful, like 2 or 3 that I use ever anymore. Black is one and white is one. Mostly the neutrals, they're safe. But like the blues, don't use the blues that are in this. Find something either here, like on Cooler or somewhere, find other examples. Hey, Pinterest is a good place to find cool color schemes. Very in the moment place. Yeah, so you'll just go in and you can pick a couple of things. I would not use this in my kind of horror-y. I don't want to be too gory. I don't want people to be like super grossed out. And I think I do want to have some like grays. Anyway, so you can make your own, but it's really useful to start from a color scheme that you like, that kind of portrays the feeling that you're thinking you want. All right, draft attribution, that's the next section. In this situation, I wouldn't recommend going out and looking up like icon sets that already exist and copying those. No. Even if you don't copy them exactly, it's not that original. It kind of defeats the purpose of going through this process. So you really shouldn't have anything to attribute. You shouldn't be copying anything closely enough that you need to say, I relied on this image for inspiration. It shouldn't be that inspired. Okay. And then critique initial post. Before you turn in your your icons and this project report, you need to post an image of those icons up on VoiceThread, and there should be a new group inside of VoiceThread called icons. So that's where you're going to put them. And that will give your classmates a chance to see what you're working on and to give you feedback, and me an opportunity to give you some feedback. And then you'll need to take a screen capture of your post in VoiceThread and stick it here. So I will need to see a screenshot that you've posted something in VoiceThread. And if you have done that up to this point, you're ready to submit your draft. Okay. There's also the final stuff in here. And it kind of goes through some of the stuff we've already done, but you need to be a little bit more eloquent about how you explain your decisions. And you do a design analysis. So kind of like the reverse engineering project that you've done, where you'll go through and talk about the different bits. And if you go through, if you follow this document, if you follow the project report as you're going through this process, it will really help you get started off on the right foot, help you get that initial the foundation in place in order for you to make something that's going to be spectacular. So that is how I would go about the beginning of this project. And best of luck.